And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome for the show. Thank you for the show. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for hanging out while I was getting everything up and running. Welcome, welcome. If you are new to the broadcast, don't know who I am or why I'm here, this is the Hair Loss Show. This is what we do here. We talk about hair loss. Now, I know it sounds effing insane if you're new to the broadcast, but the truth is 2/3 of men by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. This is the largest demographic of all humankind. So if you're tuning in for the first time and you're like, wait, what is this niche program? You're probably in this niche. You probably know somebody in your family, someone you're married to, someone you once knew, someone you're about to know, who's dealing with hair loss. That is how prevalent hair loss is in our society. And the reason I do what I do is because I have been a hair loss sufferer for like 20 some odd years. I started to lose my hair at the tender age of 21. It sucked. It really effed me up. It was something that I was not equipped to deal with. And when I was doing my research back in the day, I'm 48 years old now. Jesus. Can't believe it. Every bit of information that was out there was completely self-serving nonsense. There were no products or services that actually could help you with your hair loss. Unless you wanted to wear a really bad wig. Surgical hair restoration at the time was really not an option for anyone who wanted to look normal. There were no drugs, no FDA-approved drugs to treat hair loss. Everything that was being marketed out there was, in my view, a snake oil. It was never approved by the FDA. These products never worked for anybody. Yet millions upon millions of hair loss sufferers were purchasing this stuff. Trying not to curse tonight. A request from Andrew Zarian, by the way. It was literally the dark ages of the hair loss industry when I started to deal with hair loss. And a lot has changed. There's so much more that we can do for our hair loss now. There's so much more information at our fingertips. But even with that said, most of what is out there is complete nonsense. Well, not cursing is really hard for me. Most of what's out there that's being sold in this $3.5 billion a year industry will not help you in any way, shape, or form. And most of what you read on the internet, even if it's a hair loss related message forum, is nonsense. Companies are on these forums, sneaking their way in, just putting out disinformation, misinformation, because they want to guide you in a direction that may not necessarily help you, but it will help their pocketbooks. So what this program does, and what we try to do, is we try to create a safe place for those of you out there who are considering buying any products or services to treat their hair loss, or if you just need a place to vent, because this society does not allow us to talk about this issue that affects almost all of us. We're supposed to just man up. Women are supposed to just hide under wigs. But we can't talk about it. This is your safe place. This is a place to vent, to share, to learn, to hang out. I'm not drinking yet. I may be drinking, after the break. I'm not sure. It's a place where you know that I'm doing my best to give you completely honest info. That's it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like what I'm doing. You don't have to believe that when I tell you that there's really, there are only a few options that work. You don't have to believe that. Here comes my cat, by the way. Guy loves being on the show. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe that most of the guys out there that are pandering to the message forums are not going to be providing what they claim to provide. But I'm here to do a job. I'm here to guide you in the safest possible direction that I can. You can take the information for what it's worth. I'm not here to sell you anything. And if you want to talk about your life as a hair loss sufferer, this is your place. This is your safe place. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. A lot of interesting stuff happening this week, but I'm going to get right to the phones, and I'm sure, since this guy's been holding on for 25 minutes, I'm sure this is Joe from Staten Island, but we'll see. Maybe it's not. We'll see who's on line one. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
I thought Joe from Staten Island was fired.
What are you talking about?
That's a rumor circulating in the chat room. Either that or he's dead or he committed suicide.
There's a lot of rumors circulating in the chat room and on the message forums, and that's the way these, places function, dude.
Yes, I am not Joe from Staten Island. I've been practicing his voice for years. How do I sound?
You sound extremely lucid for Joe, actually.
Lashana Tova.
Thank you. Let me tell you, this cat is relentless, by the way. If you can see him, he is relentless. Doing a show here, dude. I had to keep my studio door open because it's so hot in here. But go ahead, Joe.
I want to wish my good friend Dr. Norman Orenstreich a happy 93rd birthday, which was several weeks ago.
He made it to 93, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. There's an old saying, the good die young.
That's right.
This man who personally destroyed my life and indirectly destroyed millions of other people's lives is still on this planet. Pretty amazing.
Well, Joe, I mean that's the way that it is. I mean, there's guys out there that have sold their practices for $55-60 million who are now living in haciendas in Beverly Hills, and there's a lot of people who are unhappy about that. That's just the way that it is. Sucks.
Yes, it's very sad. Very sad. I can remember him telling me back in before he played my song, he told me in 1976, I'll tell you like a son, a cure is 5 years away. I guess he was kind of wrong, huh?
Yeah, he was.
If the engineer part my opening, please don't get to the news.
Absolutely, Joe.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
How's that? Are you happy now?
Yes, I'm not happy. I'm miserable. I'm a hair loss sufferer. How can I be happy?
I don't know. Sometimes people, people could be happy. They can work around things, dude.
Well, not me, man. I'm laying in my bed nude with the air conditioner on 60, in a frozen room, man. The door locked, and I'm just working.
And what are you working on? Tell me what you've been working on this week.
Hello, do you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I was a lot of breaking news. Just let me one brief comment, please. I want to apologize to my millions of fans why I'm not in the chat room, because I was banned by the producers of a certain network, which I'd rather not say.
So you're still banned from the chat room?
As far as I know, unless your producers tell me otherwise, I dare not into the chat room.
Did you try to log in tonight?
Did I try to log in? No,
Yeah.
I didn't. Should I try to log
If you
in?
try, how do you know you're still banned? If you don't try to log in?
Well, that's what I was told by your producers. You know, that's definitely what I was told by your producers.
Did you? I'm going to ask again. Did you try to log in?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Can I try right now?
You can try right now. Can you speak and type at the same time?
Yes.
I mean, it's a radio show, you know.
I understand, Spencer. I've been here with you. Again, happy anniversary. I really think it was more towards the middle of the month that you started your radio show on WABC 11:30 p.m. on Saturday night.
11:30 p.m. Saturday nights, 7:70 a.m. WABC, New York. 15 years ago.
Yes.
That was a blowtorch of a station, 50,000 watts. People were able to hear me in Canada.
Yes, man. And I was a nervous wreck making my first phone call.
How do you think I felt? I had never been on the radio before. I was just winging it. I guess I still am. But I mean, imagine that. Imagine someone, and Joe, we just lost Joe's call, but he'll probably call back. Imagine, I was a kid. I had no broadcast experience. I got myself on the radio. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting in this studio where the guy before me was Sean Hannity. And I sit down in his chair, and there's an on-air light. And I'm on the biggest AM station, one of the most powerful AM stations in the country, actually the most at the time. I mean, there were many 50,000 watt stations, but this had a huge reach and a huge reputation. And that on-air light goes on, and I have to just talk. So, Joe, talking about, being nervous. I got to tell you, after the first time, man, it wasn't that hard. It's pretty easy. Let's see if this is Joe. Hey, what happened, Joe? Is that you?
I'm sorry, Spencer. I think maybe one of your engineers cut me off.
I don't think so, because, again, I know that you're trying to put some smoke and mirrors out there, but I am the engineer. I am the call screener. I am the board op. I am the talent. I am the cameraman. And I am the lighting man.
You're multifaceted, obviously.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what I do.
I'm lucky I'm able to go to the bathroom.
I know that. I would laugh at that, but sadly, it's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke at all. I want to thank your producer for letting me back in the chat room. I show you your influence helped that along, Spencer. Thank you.
Well, just behave, all right, dude? Just behave.
I'm not discussing anything. I'm extremely general. How does that sound?
All right, so let's talk. So what's up? What's the news?
There's a lot of news obviously going on. First of all, as you know, there was a major article in the Huffington Post. Now, I'm not sure I'm still invested about Folica. If this is a regurgitation of the old news or it's new news.
It's not new news, dude. That happens all the time. When a company has a good press agent or a good PR company, public relations company, it is their job to keep them relevant. And whether there's new news or not, if the company can get some extra press just to keep things rolling out there, they're going to get it. And in my view, that's exactly what happened with this recent Huffington Post article about Folica. Nothing new.
But they've said they've sailed through all clinical trials according to this article. They've never said that before. They've gone through all clinical trials and are ready for release. They haven't said this before. I'm not, disagreeing with what you're saying.
I don't mind if you disagree with what I'm saying. Maybe I didn't read it fully. I mean, I have a little bit of a learning disability. Maybe I missed something. Maybe
you suffer from ADD?
Maybe it's my reading comprehension. Maybe I'm, not as smart as I used to be. if you have more information, then let me know. But all I can tell you is that unless there's specifics, in my view, nothing's really changed.
Right. Well, the bottom line, I'll tell you, if your viewers don't know what this product does, they use a laser and laser off, some type of laser top level of your skin. Then they inject some type of growth inhibitor, such as lithium or something else that is already FDA approved, and they create new hair follicles, follicular neogenesis. This is according to Folica. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's false. I just report what I don't make the news, as you know. I report the news.
Look, dude, when it happens and it's out there and it's a viable option, people are going to be dancing in the streets, and that includes me.
You'll be dancing in the street too, Spencer?
I will be dancing in the streets. I'll do a dance on the air with you guys.
Wow! I'll come to your dance. I'll dance you in the studio live. How does that sound?
I would be well. First of all, you'd have to show your face. Would you do that?
Yes, I would.
All right, that would be fun.
With a surgical mask, would that be allowed? I'd have to be taken off.
Yeah, I'll do the head spin, Sam. You have to take the mask off. So, okay. So what else? Tell me what else is going on.
All right, now, as you know, Dr. Mwamba, who is IAHRS physician,
right?
I'm sure you're aware of him. Is allegedly.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I'm
sure you're aware of him. Let's see. I accepted him into my organization. I think I know him.
Well, I was trying to be polite.
I know.
Allegedly, he's being trained now by Dr. Nigam in his protocol. Is this true or is this false? Have you investigated this allegation, Spence?
Well, I can tell you that I have been privy to this information for quite a while. I have had correspondence with Dr. Mwamba, who, I'm sure you guys would realize that I would be in correspondence with him. And this is what he said. Well, first of all, I want to let you know that there will be an interview with me and Dr. Mwamba, me interviewing Dr. Mwamba, that we're going to be putting online next week. But what I can tell you now is that at this point, he cannot clearly state that what Dr. Nigam is doing is something that could be replicated or something that he could say is actually working. And I think that's very powerful. But what he did tell me is that he thinks it's interesting enough to conduct an experiment in his practice in Brussels. And that's what he plans to do. He's a very open-minded physician. He is a guy that I have been, I've known him for quite a long time. He applied to the organization not too long ago, a few years ago. And of course, he was accepted into the group. He is one of the true pioneers in FUE. I mean, there are some people who will disagree with that, but he has been around FUE and performing FUE for many, many years. I think he's an ethical guy. I think that if anyone were to get their hands on a technology that can possibly do what this doctor is claiming, then having Dr. Mwamba working on this and trying to make this work is a good thing for everybody. And as he knows, if this does actually benefit patients, not only will I promote it, but every member of the IHRS will be involved. And, if it works, great. And I'm totally down with it, man. Totally down with it.
I wouldn't say great. I'd say miraculous. You would quadruple someone's donor. I mean, it'd be really,
Well, at this stage, from what I know, it is not necessarily anything completely new. However, you're going to have more detail on what's going on from Dr. Mwamba himself. And, who knows, maybe eventually a iteration of what Dr. Nigam is working on now may actually come to fruition and may be something that is going to be offered both in Europe and in the United States, which will make hair transplantation that much better, which would be unbelievable. Now, I also want you guys to know, anyone out there who thinks that I somehow have something against Dr. Nigam, that is not true. Obviously, I've been totally aware of everything that's been transpiring, and I've encouraged it. I encouraged things, with Dr. Cole. I encouraged it with Dr. Mwamba. And I wanted to see any possible new technology. This cat is relentless, man. He's going to keep coming back. Any new possible technology to come to the table. I really do. And I'm excited about getting this interview out to you guys. I can't promise you the exact day, but it will be next week, so that you guys can hear from Dr. Mwamba himself exactly what went down, what transpired, and what he's going to try to do. Again, he does think that there's something to what Dr. Negum is attempting to do. Now, with that said, I also think it's important that anyone who's going to, fly to India to get this done, to know that, one of the reasons Dr. Mwamba was also asked to go down to see Dr. Negum was to help Dr. Negum, evolve what he's doing in his practice surgically. Dr. Mwamba apparently taught him a little bit more about hair angulation and graft placement and how to create a more aesthetically pleasing hairline. Dr. Negum is very new in the world of surgical hair restoration. And I also think it's important for you guys to know that, Dr. Negum did contact me, wanted to asked about how he could become a member of the IAHRS. And, at this stage, and I think it's important that everyone knows this, until I know that he has a significant amount of experience in surgical hair restoration, we can't even entertain an application. So I'm saying this publicly because I want Dr. Negum to understand that there's nothing personal, that I couldn't entertain that application or accept him into our organization. Believe me, money's money. We'd love to take, anyone who's really doing state-of-the-art work into the organization. But at this stage, we can't even entertain that. So with that said, do I think Dr. Negum is possibly onto something? Yeah, I think it's possible. Is Dr. Mwamba willing to state emphatically right now that he is? The answer is no. So whatever is circulating online, I know that obviously something must be circulating, because you're not the first person who contacted me. I've been getting emails all day, and I've kind of been out of the house, so I haven't had a real chance to read everything on the forum. But, we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed, and let's hope that this is something that could really happen, because if it is, and a guy like Mwamba gets his hands on it, that means everybody's going to be offering it.
Well, let me ask you this. This is not a drug. Does this need any type of FDA approval? I don't think so. Your expert opinion.
In my expert opinion, the answer is I don't know. There's things that I can't tell you about that Dr. Mwamba is going to have to say directly through the interview. But, I'm trying to carefully, phrase what I'm saying here. All I can say is, I can't believe it until I see it personally. And I do know, however, that Dr. Mwamba is a very open-minded doctor, and he wants to be part of improving surgical hair restoration as we know it, and he thinks that this technique or a type of technique like this could eventually improve things. And that's it. He's very open-minded, but it's going to take a long time before people really know definitively. You're not going to know overnight. The guys that are out there online thinking that, all these guys are going to have to do is look at a couple of forum member scalps to see if this stuff is working. That's not the case. There has to be real experimentation conducted in a clinical manner, and that's what Dr. Mwamba is going to do. But the good news is he's willing to take the time to do it, so he must think that there's something, or he stated that there's something to this. He's just not sure what.
Well, that's true. I had a couple more points to make. Then I'd like you to take a brief minute or two to talk about. I've been counseling a hair loss sufferer on the phone.
Yeah.
I get to that in a few minutes.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Well, would you rather give me to finish the answering the news? Would you rather get
finish whatever you want to say.
Well, have you heard any? I'll tell you about the hair loss stuff I've been counseling on the phone. Last week we had a phone conversation for over an hour and a half.
What'd you say?
Me and this certain hair loss sufferer had a phone call conversation for over an hour and a half last week. I'm trying to counsel the guy.
Okay. You just told me that you were going to tell me more about the news.
Yeah, well, I'll give me the news.
Yeah.
Well, I have no one new, but I ask you a question. What happened? Well, I do have two things to ask you. Have you conducted an investigation into what exactly is going on between Dr. Cole and Joe Tronick? Has there been any resolutions to their sharp disagreements on what can and cannot be accomplished?
Look, I don't think there's going to be any resolution. I think Dr. Cole has extremely strong opinions that he has this need to voice publicly, and I respect him as a physician. He's great at what he does. What he says what he thinks is on his tongue. I don't know if that's always the best approach, but I think, at least he's being honest. In his mind, this is the truth. So I think there are better ways to go about it than to call out a physician's rep on the internet. But look, it is what it is. It's entertaining for people, and apparently it brings a lot of traffic because a lot of people have mentioned that thread.
Well, I have to take full credit for starting it. For having Artista, my good friend Dave Artista, start that.
You're always starting trouble, dude.
Well, another thing that Dr. Cole's also saying, I spoke to one of his representatives in his office this week. I was doing a little research on my own, that they've transplanted 5,000 beard transplants on one person, which is equivalent to like 14,000 hairs, because beard hair has 4 times the caliber of scalp hair. They have amazing results, according to his representative his name is Chuck.
Yeah.
He's also 35 years fixed on the Bold Truth Talk. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
I am. Well, that's great. I mean, there's always...
I identify myself to be a nice conversation, though.
Dude, there's always going to be home runs, and there's always going to be, the abject failures. You know how many failures, how many people have contacted me over the years who are just devastated because of body hair transplants or beard hair transplants? And then there's the guys who do really well. And I'm sure if you ask Dr. Cole or his representative if there have been any failures, they're going to say yes, or any of the guys that are really out there, doing this type of work. Now, Dr. Cole for sure has pulled back the reins on body hair transplantation and has said publicly that, it's not something that he really likes to do because it's kind of hit or miss. But as far as the beard, I think there are a lot more guys who are finding that beard it works for the right candidate. It certainly does. And I've seen some excellent repairs with beard transplant, with beard grafts. So, Joe, go for it, dude.
The guy I represented told me chest, leg hair does not have the effect that beard hair has. They have a 90%, what's the word I'm looking for? 90%
retention rate?
Pardon me?
90% retention rate?
Right, exactly. Worth that they, it's just a home run. He said that, you give a cat like a practically not a full lot of hair, but it's a guy who has a depleted bone area like myself.
Look, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that those numbers are inaccurate, but I always question when people put out definitive numbers when it comes to anything surgical hair restoration. It's so difficult to put out anything definitively that whoever gets 30% regeneration or 70% regeneration or 30% hair retention or the whole thing is, yes, there are ways to measure things, but who's really holding the books on these estimates? This cat is going to drive me out of my effing mind.
What cat is that?
I'm not going to give his name.
Oh, is it a person?
It's an actual animal. My cat. So I mean, when I see these numbers being thrown around, it's impressive to the consumer. But you know what we want to see? We want to see video. We want to see pictures. We want to have these patients, calling the program, talking to us. Let me interview these guys. It's interesting. I'm giving patients the opportunity, if they're willing to come on full face to be interviewed, to talk about their procedures. And that's not an easy task. Most guys don't want to come out and just, talk about their experience. They'll do it behind the keyboard. Some will do it, anonymously on the phone. A lot of people still don't want to do that. People want to see the real situation. So I just tell everyone, take everything with a grain of salt, no matter where it comes from. As far as percentages, as far as, what we can do compared to this clinic and that clinic, from wherever it comes from. Look for consistent results. If you see consistent results from that clinic, if they are claiming to do beard hair on a regular basis, then that might be a clinic you'd want to consider.
Well, that's Dr. Cole, and I believe Dr. Wesley also does beard hair on a consistent basis. Yeah. I haven't shaved over 3 weeks, and I can see the length of my hair on my face. I mean, applying it to person's scalp, my opinion would be, pretty significant.
So go for it, dude.
Really,
you're going to be calling the show when you're 60 years old talking about your beard hair and how well it grows. But you're still going to be wearing that turban, and you're going to be in bed waiting for your meals to be shoved under the door. Sorry.
Well, I really hope it's a cure within the 5 years. I really like that. But now I'm not, I don't know anymore. What to think about that? So far as the news, that's all I really have to report. But I've been having a long conversation with guests too. Can you possibly? By the way, I wanted you to know I had a cat who lived 22 years old.
Oh, Jesus. These guys are driving. This guy drives me nuts. I have to keep my door.
He had only one disease. He suffered from hair loss.
Of course, I have to keep my door open in the studio because it's like 100 degrees. So
why don't you have your staff put in some type of a better air conditioning unit, Spencer?
Well, air conditioning units. A good air conditioning unit makes noise. So there's only so much noise that you can have in a studio. Like if you are in a professional radio studio, in a radio station, the ducts are basically soundproofed. It's amazing what they're able to do. So, I just don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like making that investment.
Well, maybe you could take Dr. Negrom on in a few months if he proves his efficacy. Then maybe you could afford another air conditioner. How's that sound?
He could listen. I hope that they can prove what he's saying or what he's claiming is true. I really do. But he'd have to perform a hell of a lot more hair transplants for him to be even considered IHS material, and that's not being. We're not being snobbish about it. Like I said, we'd love to take his check, his money. Why not? But he has to perform consistently. Patients have to have great results. It's not just his ability to grow hair, or even if he is doing doubling, to double. It's about how's it going to look. Is the guy able to create a hairline? What's his staff about? How long have they been involved in surgical hair restoration?
That's true. Well, one final point at the ISHRS conference on late October, Dr. Wesley's due to make a major announcement about his parallel focus technique. I'm sure you're aware of that.
I'm very aware of it, and that's great. Listen, all this stuff is exciting. The fact that Mwamba is willing to take the time out of his day and his life to travel and to conduct experiments in his own practice, and the fact that Dr. Wesley is doing what he's doing, there's no doubt in my mind that surgical hair restoration is evolving. What we see today is evolving into an even more effective procedure, and that's great. That's all we could hope for. But I do not believe any of this is going to be a miracle, the miracle that these people think. If you are able to actually double hair follicles without just simply splitting them, then yes, that will be miraculous. But, people have been splitting follicles. This cat he's purring now. You can hear it. people have been splitting hair follicles for years. So what are they going to do? Are they going to actually split follicles and charge you? So they're still going to charge you per graft. So are they going to take one follicular unit out, split it, and then charge you for two? That's always a possibility. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. But, if that is what they're doing, how do you guys feel about that? Why would you split a naturally occurring unit? That's really the way nature intended it to grow. Just to create the illusion of more grafts for the recipient area. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but that's been done for years. So if that's all that it is, then you know what? That sucks. So we'll see. If that's not the case, and Dr. Mwamba really believes that there's something here, something to this, I'm going to find out, and then you guys are going to find out. But don't believe everything you read on these message forums. People, even if they're involved, even if they're in the office, even if the work was conducted on them, they really don't know what's going on. They really don't.
Well, the bottom line is we have to increase, the holy grail would be to have unlimited donor area or something near unlimited donor area. That would solve the whole problem of hair transplantation. Am I correct? That assertion.
That absolutely would. It would solve a major problem, the biggest problem when it comes to surgical hair restoration. But I can tell you that there are going to be, some of the same complications are obviously going to occur. And this technology will be in the wrong hands, just like the current technology is. There's going to be plenty of hacks out there. Plenty of people who are going to believe that they didn't get, enough bang for their buck. Plenty of people who are going to regret going under the knife, so to speak, even if it is an FUE procedure, because they was sold this technique, this technology as, unlimited donor, and, they look like they have peach fuzz on their head or pubic hair. That's all that shit's going to happen. I guarantee it. So just be careful. I wouldn't jump on a plane, anytime soon to have this procedure done. I would wait and see. There's going to be plenty of anxious guinea pigs that are going to have this done.
Yes, I would wait. I would definitely wait if you're okay. Just one final point, and I'll tell you who I've been counseling. I won't take any other calls on the line. Have you heard anything about the investigation to what's going on with Adirans? Have you spoken to Kenny or Shennick? What is their status? Are they totally defunded? Are they in hiatus? What's going on with them? Have you investigated that at all?
The last time I spoke to Ken, I relayed that information to you guys, and they don't have any funding. They were being funded by themselves. Adirans was funding this project, and Adirans is no longer putting any money towards it. So to answer your question, right now this is a very promising technology sitting in a box somewhere on a shelf.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
And that's it.
All he needs is $8 million, which in a scheme of things is nothing. Am I correct?
Yeah, but, they have to get it. So if it's a lot of money when you don't have it, dude.
Well, I don't know. It's just sad that, I have a call. I just very close to. I've been counseling Bald Jerry on the phone.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Well, he's a very, he's taking, his hair's a lot better than mine, and he's 29 years old. He's a young, tall boy, and he's really depressed. He suffers from depression. He's unable to do his work. I'm trying to cheer him up. I think I'm the wrong guy for the job.
That is, if Jerry's coming to you to be cheered up, then I think there's a real problem there. I think maybe he's just, he's commiserating with you, and he feels you're like a kindred spirit. But I don't think he's coming to you for. Maybe Jerry, call in the show. I'm curious. Let me know if you're coming to him for anything besides, a couple of laughs and someone to talk to. I think you're probably knocking on the wrong door.
Well, Jerry was actually crying on the phone, to tell you the truth.
Now, is he comfortable with you saying that on the air?
Yeah, but I also made him laugh. I also had to make him laugh. I tell you how I made him laugh when I told him.
Yeah, tell me.
I told very quickly about the day, I was so upset looking in the mirror, I just shot my whole mirror up in my bathroom. And he was hysterical. He couldn't believe
when
it.
was this?
I'd say approximately 20 years ago.
And you just took your gun out and you shot your mirror?
Yeah. I had a revolver at the time. I didn't have a 9mm because that wasn't a standard weapon. I fired 6 shots into the mirror.
Jesus.
And he wanted to know if I endangered anybody. I said, no one was home at the time. I wouldn't want to hurt anybody.
No, it's you still could have, depending on where that wall is, the bullets could have still gone through the wall and into another house.
No, well, the bathroom was situated. It was not possible. I thought about that. I don't want to, criminal charges. I thought about that possibility, and it just happened. I looked in the mirror and I couldn't stand it anymore. I just pulled it out and fired 6 in the mirror. Jerry, you went from a man who was crying to a man who started laughing hysterically. So I made a sufferer laugh.
Well, you know what, man? That's a mitzvah.
That's what?
That's a mitzvah.
That's a Yiddish term, right?
That's a Yiddish term. You did a good thing. You're going to be blessed for it. You made Jerry laugh. Listen, guys, I got to take a break. This is a crazy effing show.
Jerry, please call in.
Yeah, Jerry, feel free to call in. Phone number 888-659-3727. This is kind of like an impromptu live show. I happen to be in town, and I figured, you know what? I may have to leave town next week, so let me do a live show this week. I did not announce it on the forums, but thank you so much for hanging out, guys. 888-659-3727. Not sure if I'm going to do a full 2 hours tonight, but if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you just need to vent, this is your opportunity to call the show. Talk about anything and everything. Hair loss, if you're considering having surgery, or if you're going to get into the chair tomorrow, this could be your last effing chance. You might be able to get away without being harmed if you made the wrong decision already. If you didn't do your due diligence, you're not sure after stumbling onto the show if you made the right decision, call us. I'd be more than happy to give you my advice and to let you know whether or not I think, whoever the doctor is, if I think you're making the right move. 888-659-3727. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Spencer Kobren. You are watching and listening to The Bald Truth. Self-help radio for guys and unfortunately for girls who get it. And I hate the fact that there are so many girls who get it. And I don't mean girls who just understand how effed up it is for guys to be losing their hair. I'm talking about the women out there. The women who are dealing with exactly the same thing we're dealing with. You know, 2/3 of men by the age of 35 deal with hair loss, androgenetic alopecia, but 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. So many people forget that. Now, as difficult as it is for us, can you imagine how difficult it is for a woman, a young woman, a young, hot 19-year-old who is going through the initial throes of androgenetic alopecia, who will eventually have significant diffuse hair loss, and frankly, there's very little they can do, much less treatments are basically non-existent for women. We have Rogaine, and we have off-label treatments like spironolactone, the use of low androgen index birth control pills, a couple of other things in the mix, low-level laser light therapy, platelet-rich plasma therapy. That's all they have. And if they are lucky, they might be a candidate for surgical hair restoration. And that's a much smaller percentage than it is with guys. So when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, when you are looking at yourself as a man dealing with hair loss, as much as it sucks, I want you to think how difficult it would be if you're a woman. Now, I know there's a couple of guys who are part of our listening audience who can kind of relate to that because, Joe would prefer to be a woman, and a couple of other guys might be able to put themselves in the shoes of these women who are dealing with hair loss. But it's tragic. And I think it's really misunderstood. And I want you ladies out there who are tuning into the broadcast through some of our newer resources, who may be watching this show on Ustream or on Vaughn TV, Vaughn Live, or maybe that you caught us on Daily Motion. Or maybe you're listening to us live on iTunes Radio or Stitcher Radio. I want you to feel comfortable enough to call in. We would love to hear from you. It's not just a guy's show. Phone number is 888-659-3727. I find it funny. Two of the lines that were just lit, after I said, how about some girls calling in? They hung up. Guys, this shit affects all of us, men and women alike. We should all have a chance to discuss it, to talk about it, to vent. 888-659-3727. Let's get to the phones. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. How you doing?
Oh, my God. Johnny, Ohio. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
You know what? I'm not bad. If you think this is water, it's not. It's potato vodka, which I'm really starting to like a lot.
Oh, really?
And tonic and soda water. Very crisp, very crisp drink.
Wow. Decent flavor.
You know what? I like it a lot. I actually think that I've become allergic in my old age to gluten and wheat products and stuff like that. And most vodkas are made from grains.
It looks like water.
It does, and that's what's good. So, like when people just see me, if I don't admit that I'm drinking on the air, they would never know.
Well, Spencer, getting back to the women, this hair loss affects them as much as it's affecting us as guys, and they really should call in and vent. Because the only way that the medical community is going to be able to attack this is to hear what they're going through. Not that they're not being marketed now, but I think it would help. It may help a few that has issues.
Well, I think that and I was just distracted by a PM, but I think that if more women would feel comfortable enough to start engaging, with us, I think the mainstream might look at it even more seriously, because they're not. There are, I was recently contacted. I guess one of the, I'm not going to say what show, but one of the mainstream doctor type shows is going to do something on women's hair loss, and of course they contact me and they want to, get information about women's hair loss, and they want statistics and all that stuff. I seldom go on a program when they're talking about women's hair loss, especially if they have the usual suspects, the usual doctors that talk about women's hair loss on the show, because I know it's just going to be a bunch of crap. There's going to be somebody out there with a laser device. There's going to be somebody out there talking about 2% Rogaine and saying that women could actually use 5% Rogaine. There's going to be somebody out there talking about nutrition and caring for your hair and the way you should gingerly take care of your hair and comb your hair and use certain types of brushes. All the same bullshit, because all of this stuff is really controlled by the production company, the production staff, who don't know shit and really don't care to know shit.
So they basically want to try and hook their train up to you and use it as a promo.
That's exactly right.
They'll have hair loss expert, blah blah blah, and then they'll have a doctor with some new breakthrough devices they claim. But I would think that some of these companies, though, that have been doing research would have be getting in some of their later stages. Is anything going on right now?
Listen, if you listen, I don't know if you call it the news, but I mean, there's some stuff going on right now. I mean, there's this whole thing with Dr. Mwamba visiting Dr. Nigam in India, and Dr. Mwamba willing to conduct experiments in Brussels with hair doubling, which is great. We're going to put on an interview with Dr. Mwamba next week, so you guys can get some more information, get your teeth into that, and then, all the crazy speculation is going to go out there all over the internet after I post this. But that's some news. And as far as these other companies, I was in recent contact with Replicell. We will finally be getting an interview out shortly. Getting stuff done and getting this information out to you guys, because of all of the nonsense that goes on in the forums, has become so much more difficult. So as far as is anything coming to fruition soon, I can tell you the answer is no. And it really depends on what soon is. For us, listen, we've been waiting for a long time, Johnny. We could wait another 3. We could wait another 3 years. These young guys think it's like a matter of life and death. I understand that.
Well, in the chat room, I noticed a cat by the name of Adam K. Talking how dark and depressing, hair loss is, and
why do you think I do what I do? I was in Adam K's position, or whoever said that. You said Adam K. I was in the same position as all these young guys. I was sitting in my room with a bottle of Manischewitz, watching Friends, getting loaded before I go out to the bars because I was so depressed. That's how old I am, watching Friends. And, I get it. I understand it. I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. I felt extremely out of place, especially initially, because all of my friends had full heads of hair, and I was the guy going to the bar with the quasi-comb over or comb down, trying to, disguise my hair loss. And back then, the Caesar wasn't in, dude. We're talking about the late 80s. If you didn't have long hair, man, you were effed. We didn't even have the option to shave our heads. It was all about the right facial hair and the right hair. It was a totally different world. Now, kids, I think, have so many more options. So I understand that dark place. But if you could work through it.
It can. It can. Just don't do anything desperate. Don't do anything. Don't make any decisions until you've exhausted all your resources.
Absolutely.
And this is one of them.
And yes, I'm looking at follicularly challenged. Mullets were in then, and I had a mullet. I had a awesome mullet. Not like a Billy Ray Cyrus mullet, but just it looked really good. I had long hair in the back and just the right amount of, it was just, I was known for my hair. And it really screwed me up in a way that, some guys could understand, but, I had no one to talk to. I had no one to turn to. I couldn't speak to, try to talk to my parents about it. And, they were like, my father said at one point when I had started to put a lot of hairspray on my hair because I was so concerned about the hairline trying to cover it up. He's like, wow, it looks really thick, almost like you're wearing a wig. And I'm like, and I had to go out in the world the next day to go to work after, having that in my head. So I listen, all you young guys, man, I get it. I wouldn't be in this position. I would not be behind this microphone. I would not have done what I've done with my career if it didn't really screw me up.
I'd like to see Andrew Zarian with a mullet.
We could make that happen.
That would look cool.
Yeah, we could definitely make that happen.
But what? He could have that retro look.
I think he would enjoy that.
I think you would too.
Dude, I think the mullet's coming back. I'm going to bring it back, dude.
Well, let's find a way to market it.
I am bringing back the mullet. You heard it here on The Bald Truth.
And Joe shooting his mirror, that was a first. I never heard that one. He unloaded a revolver into a mirror.
Yeah,
that's a classic Joe from Staten Island there.
Yeah, I can see that. In his younger years, I can see it. Right now, I mean, the guy can barely get out of bed, so I don't know if he can even lift a pistol.
Well, I'm sure he had either 8 steaks or 9 pork chops tonight for supper. It's usually the staple for him.
Is everything all right in your camp, Johnny, before I take another call?
Yeah, everything's good. I mean...
Family's good?
Family's good. You just got to sort of get up every day and keep moving, Spencer. You know how it goes. How's your pop doing?
You know what? He's at the end of his life, and I don't know if that means another 5 years, another month. You just don't know. But, we're giving him
how that is.
We're giving him the best life we possibly can. I think he's doing, really well under the circumstances, and that's it. I try to get to New York as often as I can, and it's been quite often lately. And I just want to kind of be there for the end of his life.
That's good. That's good. It's tough, though. I went through that last year with my wife's father. It's tough. I know what you're going through.
Well, I appreciate that, and it isn't easy. And for all the young guys out there who are just like focused on themselves, and some of the guys are still living at home with your parents, and when the tables turn, when you become the parent, and it happened actually early in my life. I was the type of kid who was out of the house very young, and I was like the adult at a very young age. But when it happens to you, and you realize that your parents are they're just people. Some of them were equipped to have children and develop lives, and some of them weren't. And you start to see their weaknesses, and the fact that they're just human, and the fact that they have the same insecurities and the same issues that you might have. And in some cases, it gets even worse as you get older. You kind of realize what you have to do in life. I think a lot of the younger guys, and especially when I read the forum, I realize, God, I think it's getting even more difficult. And I think people are staying immature much longer than in our day.
I think technology's allowed us that.
Yeah, I think that it has. It's also kept people from really interacting with each other face to face.
I guess you and I are from the same era, and this texting. All people want to do is text.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to call.
Well, I actually, that's a really interesting phenomenon. Recently, there was a study that I read, and I forgot exactly where it was done, but when it comes to the world of sales, when it comes to the world of making an impression and making money, phone is still number one. People want to speak to somebody that they can relate to. They want to know that there's a human being at the other end of the business deal, and of course they want to meet in person. But it's slowly getting to the point where email and text is becoming more and more acceptable, even when conducting business. And that frightens me, man. That really, really frightens me, because you just don't get the nuances of, the situation when you're texting somebody or emailing somebody. You just can't do it. And I can guarantee you that there's going to be a lot more issues, a lot more money lost, a lot more trouble in the world of business, and just in general in society, just because people aren't going to get each other because they're reading the written word. And now the written word isn't even the written word. The written word is now it's a new language of text. So it's a pretty bizarre world. I have to tell you that, you used to hear your parents say this stuff, but honestly, man, I liked it the way that it was. I make my life is on the internet. I make my businesses online. Everything that I do is online, from banking to shopping to, I get it. I understand technology and appreciate it and utilize it in my world. But honestly, if it didn't exist, I would have gotten along just fine. And frankly, I think that, life might have been that much sweeter.
Sometimes cell phones are a pain in the ass.
Oh, my God. Of course they're a pain in the ass.
They are really a pain in the ass.
Of course they are. I wouldn't mind if it was just a phone like it was at one point. But now everything is on your phone. You can't get away from it. You got to tweet. You got to answer people through Facebook. It's a constant thing with social media and just dealing in this connected world.
Right. One thing I'd like to say to the folks out there before I go, especially the guys and gals, if you're contemplating doing something, take your time, do your homework. Don't believe any slick ads. Don't believe anyone that's telling you that you can look like this when they show you some glossy ad with a guy with a full head of hair who went from a Norwood 8, or if there's such thing as a Norwood 8, to a full head of hair. Do your homework, folks. Do your homework. It's not worth the aggravation and the money that you're going to spend to walk around with a mutilated head. Joe and I can both tell you that.
Well, and that's obviously great advice, but also don't believe some 20-year-old on a message forum.
No.
Don't believe some stranger on a message forum who is, even if they seem to have you can go to a message forum, someone could have 1,500 posts, and it looks like they are a respected user of whatever forum they're on. Realize they're just some kid sitting on his computer posting shit. That's it. There's no credentials there. You have no idea where this is coming from. It may not even be. It could be some 50-year-old woman who eventually is going to try to sell you some shit. You just don't know.
And exactly, and anyone that has a product, you should be able to look up at it up close. You should be able to see if someone's had a hair transplant, if their hair, how it moves in the wind. There's so many things that you need to see. There's so many, and not just one guy that had the hair transplant by a doctor. See, look and ask for several.
That's right.
I mean, do your homework. I mean, try to find someone that has a similar hair loss pattern to yourself and how they progressed. And have realistic goals. That's the main thing, is be realistic. And that's tough when you're, when you're a young guy and you're going through a real dark place right now. But it will get better. It will get better.
Well, listen, John,
I'm not going to say it's going to be a perfect utopia, but it's going to get better.
Listen, Johnny, you are a wise person. You've been around for a long time. You've been through the mill. You've had bad hair transplants. I think the young guys should definitely take your advice. And I'm going to let you go. But, the truth is, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And, all these guys are out there who are dogmatic when it comes to FUE versus FUT, or these new technologies versus, what we've had for, the last decade. You have to go with, in my view, what's tried and true and what really works, what is going to get you to the point where you look and feel better in your own skin. That's what is going to benefit you. And, people they need to do their due diligence and understand that most of what's going on out there it's bullshit.
Well, what may work for one person may not be the best fit for another in this, the hair transplant world. So,
absolutely,
don't be afraid to ask questions and make phone calls. And
that's what I find funny. When I have Joe Tillman on, and I didn't even call him tonight because I wasn't sure if I was going to be on the air until the last minute. But when I have Joe Tillman on, and then there are guys out there who are like, well, Joe's a strip salesman. He's not a strip salesman. That guy could work for any clinic he wants in the world. That's how popular he is online. People would pay him big bucks to leave Hassan Wong and go someplace else.
Joe Tillman, Joe Tronics, as he's known, is probably one of the more reputable, more forthright individuals in this hair transplant field. He's someone that's lived through mutilation.
If he wasn't, I would not have him on the show on a regular basis.
He is a fine gentleman, and he's not the type of guy that's going to steer you wrong. He's been through this. He's been. I mean, folks are talking about the dark place. He's been there. I mean, he lived through botched hair transplants.
That's right.
And look what he had the balls to actually put himself out there and to show the progression of how his procedures, how well they have done, and where he's at today.
And that's why it bothers me.
It
has nothing to do with the fact that he works for two IHRS members. Because honestly, man, I can give a shit about most of the reps that work for the doctors. I mean, they're not Joe Tillman. And no offense, guys. I mean, I don't know most of you guys out there who are working for doctors who are not part of what we do. But Joe, again, could work for anybody. So if he wanted to, in his mind, thought that FUE was the way to go, any doctor would pay him and pay him exactly, if not more, than what Hassan Wong are paying him. And he would have the same notoriety. And that's the point. He chooses to stay there because he believes in what they're doing, because this is what changed his life. Dr. Wong is who helped him get past something that most people could never get past.
But again, too, I've also heard him, just because he had strip surgery done, and he's a patient advocate for Hassan Wong, doesn't mean that there's somebody out there doing FUE that an individual be better suited for that particular type of procedure. I've never heard him slam FUE.
No, and he hasn't. And that's why when I see guys post online that he's like a strip monger or he's just in it for the money, it gets me angry, because I know how he operates. And I'm not here to defend Joe. But it's just, the guys that are online just who don't know the history of this industry really have no place commenting about certain situations and certain individuals, because they just don't know. They are reading.
He's been through the butcher mill.
He's been through the butcher mill. He's been back, and if you look at this guy now, he has developed a life for himself that is just wonderful. Yes, he's got a great wife. He's got everything that a guy in his position would never think they could have.
Well, it's a story, like the happy ending story. I mean, he basically persevered, and that's what I'm trying to convey to these young folks. You have to do your due diligence, and you have to have perseverance, because this is an industry that will eat you alive. All they give a damn. I don't care, because a guy's got a medical degree and he wears a white coat and he drives a Ferrari or whatever he's driving. Unless he's got the clientele, unless he's got the experience and the wherewithal, like Dr. Hassan or Dr. Wong and or Dr. Shapiro and so on, Dr. Haber, these folks, there's charlatans out there. I know it's hard to believe, folks, but there's some real charlatans out there.
Yeah, hard
they
to
will
believe.
Screw you.
Listen, Johnny, thanks so much for the call.
No problem.
Always a pleasure. Glad you're doing well. And, call in next week if we're on the air.
I'll check in. You guys all take care.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
888-659-3727. Bald Jerry, if you have a question about Joe, call in and ask it, and let's have a conversation. I'm going to go to Joe from Staten Island, and I'll take another call. Hey, Joe, is that you?
Yes, I'm encouraging Jerry to call in. I'm encouraging him to call in to discuss that conversation.
I see a question in the chat room. I just read it. Spencer, how come some IHRS docs say FUE is scarless? Name the doctors that say that FUE is scarless in the IHRS, and I'd be more than happy to speak with them. There is no such thing as a scarless hair transplant, period. And that's something that I have been, getting out there and trying to put out there and educate the patient about for a long time. I think that, to my knowledge, there's no IAHRS members who actually promote scarless surgery. And if there are, you let me know, and we'll make that something that's changed. Go ahead.
You're right about that, Spencer. No, IAHRS doctor claims that. The only one who makes a semi-claim is Dr. Wesley, who's saying he's working on achieving that goal.
Yeah, the guy says Cole. Where does Cole say that it's scarless?
Cole never said that.
Where does Dr. Cole would never say that the surgery is scarless? He said it on the air that his FIT does cause some degree of scarring years ago.
Dr. Cole said, I can see on the site that FET does, ever does cause scarring.
Yeah, I have never known Dr. Cole to claim that his technique is scarless. So you let me know. You show me where he says that. If he says that on his website, I will speak to him.
Before Jerry calls in, Spencer, people on the forum have asked this question. Can I ask on their behalf? Would you mind?
Say that again?
People on the forum have been asking this on the chat room, have been posing this question. I know you're the expert. May I pose it to you?
Pose it to me, and then I'm going to take a phone call.
Of course. People want to know why you can't inject synthetic hair into the scalp. People have synthetic hips, synthetic arm replacements. The body doesn't reject them. Why would the body reject synthetic hair?
Well,
what's the difference?
Well, the difference is that a portion of the hair is actually sticking out of your scalp. The wound is never completely closed. So when you put something synthetic, whether it's a synthetic chin implant or breast implants or hip replacement, it is actually completely in your body. So there's no possibility for bacteria or for any type of dirt or whatever to get into that wound. You can't completely close the wound when you are putting in these fake hair fibers. So that's just the way that it is. Even if there's no initial infection, that scalp is always slightly open because, it doesn't completely close around that fake fiber.
Oh, so that's the reason. It's open. That's why it's rejected by the body.
That's exactly right.
Oh, because I remember this big investigation years ago. I know about that.
Yeah.
Okay,
now, if it didn't have to actually be coming out of the scalp, and if there was a way to completely encapsulate that implant, then there probably wouldn't be a problem. But that's impossible when it comes to hair.
Impossible or improbable?
I would say it's almost impossible. Most of these guys that have these Nido or these synthetic hair fiber implants will at some point have an infection.
Right. My understanding is they look good for a while, but eventually the person will become infected. Scalp will become infected.
Right.
Okay. I know you have the call, Spencer. Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer?
Yes.
This is Mike from Staten Island.
Mike from Staten Island. How are you, man?
I'm pretty good. I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, welcome, man. So now we have Joe from Staten Island and Mike from Staten Island.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's up, man?
Okay, well, I love the show. I've been listening for the last few months, and, I look forward to listening now.
Oh, great. I'm glad.
I just had a couple of, things I wanted your opinion about. I would say I started noticing my hair loss about 24, 25 years old.
How old are you now?
Now I'm 34.
All right.
So, I wish I would have came across the show years ago because I was kind of nervous to take Propecia and stuff from reading online about it and stuff like that. So I just, tried to take, regular supplements and just do Rogaine, but I really didn't get any great results. But all the way up until maybe 2 years ago, I was kind of okay with, when I went out styling my hair and stuff, it really didn't bother me. But I think I would say about 2 years ago, it started to affect me where, I didn't like when, I couldn't get my hair the way I wanted when I went out and stuff.
Sure.
So I would say, so now I'm at the point where it's really bothering me. I would say I'm a Norwood 4, but the U-shaped area is, very thin. So even if I buzzed my head down, and I don't really care, I would be happy with a buzz cut, but I don't care too much how it looks right now. So I was thinking about possibly maybe, doing a minor hair surgery just to bring my hairline down a little bit more, and maybe supplementing it with an SMP or something like that. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, here's the good news. The fact that you are okay wearing your hair close or almost shaved down, that's a plus. Because, you really need less hair to be moved to achieve a fuller look, especially if you're just trying to frame the face and then keep a really close haircut. Now, in order to have SMP, in my view, you have to have a really, really short haircut, basically practically shaved. Is that what you're looking for?
Well, practically, I think I would be okay if it was buzzed down with let's say a hair buzzer with no blade on it. You know what I mean? Or maybe a half-inch guard or something like that.
Right. Well,
can you get away with that?
Well, you know what? You probably could. It really depends. It depends. If you say you're actually a full Norwood 4, you would need probably more grafts than you think to create the illusion of just a full head of hair with a buzz. However, if you're willing to incorporate SMP, and I think that, I was never a huge fan of having your scalp tattooed.
Yeah, I see pictures of it, and there's very, very few photos that I see that I think I would be happy with.
Well, this is my issue. It really, when you're dealing with a permanent tattoo, and they always say, well, they can touch it up. In time, that even if it doesn't turn blue, okay, let's just say the blacks or the color stays the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
It will bleed to some extent over time as you age, as the ink has been in your body, in your skin for a long time. It will bleed. I don't care what anybody says. So when you have that combination of the ink bleeding and then it fading to some degree and you having to kind of retouch it, eventually, in my view, you're going to have this confluence of color all over your scalp.
Okay.
And that could look extremely unnatural and extremely odd. Now, there is a technique that's being promoted now that is considered to be a temporary type of SMP. Now, in theory, go ahead.
No, I did see that also.
In theory, that makes, to me, better sense because in time, before the ink begins to bleed or even change color, it may fade, and then you can have it redone. However, if you go to get it redone while the ink is still visible, how easy is it going to be to get exactly on that dot without going slightly over to the left, right, or whatever, and creating a slightly bigger dot? I mean, the artist would have to be incredibly precise. There would have to be maybe a precision instrument that's somehow used to get that done. And again, this is all speculation. And it could possibly cause a confluence of color as well, in my view. However, with that said, there are guys out there that seem to be happy with it. I know that, Joe Tillman is someone who's had some of it done, and Spencer Stevenson, Specs, who's known online, he's had it done. You know what, man? I wouldn't jump into it. I personally would not jump into it. And I know that, Hassan and Wong, who are some of the best hair transplant surgeons out there, two guys that I recommend very highly, They're getting involved in that end of the business. I think that for some people, it can look good initially. I don't know what the long-term effect is going to be and how great it's going to look in the long term. I have to be honest with you. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, I was very unsure about that as far as, you know, getting that done because, you know, if I didn't like how it looked, I think I would be very upset about it.
Well, you might. I would say that you'd probably, if you go to a great practitioner, like if you go to Hassan Wong's people, if you go to whoever is out there doing the temporary SMP, who's been trained well, you will probably like it initially. I just don't know what the long-term effect is going to be. I don't know what it looks like once it fades and then you have to have it redone. I don't know. You know, there's not enough data online where I can say, you know what, this is the way to go. But as far as getting a small FUE procedure, if you want to cut your hair very close, you know, that may be a real option for you. It really will. You know, if you just need to frame the face, a few thousand grafts might really make a big difference. But I mean, how bad? I mean, how much different do you think you'll look with a small session compared to the way you look now? Would you be that much more comfortable with more of a hairline, or do you think you can get away with living life the way you're living it right now?
I feel like I definitely want to do something. I'm at this point, I'm definitely not happy. So, you know, okay, let's say I did decide to do like a small FUE procedure. I would definitely have to get on Propecia first, right?
I would say, you know, I wouldn't say definitely. I would say that in my view, if I was going to have surgery, and I've been on finasteride for over 20 years, I would think that you're taking a much bigger risk if you're not doing something to potentially help you slow or stop the progression of your hair loss. I think Propecia is vital when you're having surgery. But, you know, in this climate, most guys don't want to take it. So I understand that as well.
You know, over the last few months, like listening to you, I wish I would have taken it, started taking it years ago. Yeah. I think it's just the people who were surrounding me at that time were very negative about it and things I read.
Yeah.
But now I'm a little bit more open, but I'm not sure if it's like too late to start taking it, you know? Like, is the damage already done?
Well, let me tell you, it may be too late as far as what you've lost, but if you are progressing, if you think you have a family history of significant hair loss, if you know that you do, and if you see yourself continuing to progress, I mean, to me, you want to save as much hair as you can. If you're going to either wear a hairpiece, or if you're going to get scalp tattooing, if you're going to get a hair transplant, the more native hair you have, the better the outcome, the aesthetic outcome is going to be. That's just the way that it is. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, guys who contact me who want to start wearing hairpieces, and, you know, if they send us pictures or if they post pictures online, you kind of know what their limitations are. If they're able to save their sides, their temporal peaks, or if they have good sides, then they may be a better candidate for a hair system, for instance, than someone whose sides are already recessed. And some guys have saved those sides just by using finasteride. So the combination of finasteride and a hairpiece for them, for that particular person, works wonders. And the same goes for hair transplants, and in my view, the same goes for scalp tattooing. So, you know, you should talk to your doctor about it. You know, if you're willing to try it, then talk to your doctor. Make sure you have all of the data, all of the information before you take that first pill, because side effects do happen to some people.
Okay. This is probably just wishful thinking on my part, but do you think there's any chance, if maybe you're a good responder to Propecia, that you would get some type of regrowth?
I do. I will tell you that in my experience, I had what I would consider significant regrowth. I was thinning on the sides of my scalp as well as the crown when I started, and at the time, at least initially, that all grew back. So while I didn't have a huge bald spot, I had a noticeable thinning area that people would comment on that completely filled in, at least for the first few years I was on the drug. Now, over time, it's progressed again, and I have more of a thin spot, which I use Dermatch for. but it saved it for many years. It reversed the process for me, and the process began again slowly, but it's been a godsend for me. So to answer your question, I think it's possible. And I also have known guys who have grown a lot of hair in their hairline, even though Merck cannot state that it works in the hairline. I've known guys that have regrown their hairline to the point where they were initially considering having a hair transplant, and then they've decided to hold off because they grew their hair back.
Okay.
So it's possible. It's unlikely that you're going to grow a lot back in your hairline. The odds are against you, but it does happen.
Okay. And I guess just my last question is, so basically, if I did some type of surgery, I think I would need my hairline to come down at least I guess to be age appropriate, if you want to say, at least down an inch, a little bit more, where I would be somewhat pleased.
Sure.
But then I also too, even when I buzz my head down, like the U-shaped area, you could see that area is still thinner than, I guess the area around it that still has, my full set of, hairs there. So that's where I was thinking about trying to fill in with the SMP, but, I'm really not too sold on that whole idea yet.
Well, here's this is what I would do. I would really learn more about the temporary SMP. Okay. I would probably not have it more than once, just to see how you react to it. It's supposed to fade completely in time. If you can deal with that you're going to have this, initial look of more hair, and then it's going to fade, then that may be an option for you, and then you could always have it done again sometime down the line. I just would not, go into it and then think I'm just going to, continue to have it touched up as it fades, because I think if it doesn't fade completely, you can end up having like a really weird, like the dots may look bigger, and again, I have to preface this by saying I have never seen a long-term result from temporary SMP, meaning that I haven't seen anyone who's had it and then they've, posted online or contacted me after 2 or 3 years. I haven't seen that, so I don't know how you're going to react. But it may be something worth trying. Listen, Joe Tillman is going to be on the show again soon. So the next time he's on the program, why don't you call in and ask him, because he's seen a lot of patients in person, and right now they're offering it at their clinic. So, I mean, I think he's going to be honest. The one thing Joe is not is a salesman. So you can definitely ask him. All right, man?
Okay. Hey, one more thing. To bring the hairline down an inch, what do you think as far as grafts-wise? If you had to, estimate.
It's hard to estimate. If your hair diameter is very coarse and you have darker skin and dark hair, or depending on your hair, characteristics and the contrast between your scalp and skin, that can make a difference of 1,000 grafts, depending on how much you need. What does your skin look like right now compared to your hair?
I'm very the tone of my skin, you say?
The tone of your skin.
I'm very light skinned, and my hair, I would say, is like medium brown.
All right. Well, I mean, there may be if it's medium brown and not dark brown, then there's less of a contrast there. You probably need less hair to be moved. If you're going to wear it very short, and if you have decent hair caliber, I mean, it could be anywhere between 1,500 and 2,500 grafts to make a significant difference. Okay. I would say that most guys would start, if you just want to bring your hairline an inch down, probably around 1,700 or so. But again, that's just an estimate. I've never seen your pictures, and I'm not a doctor, so.
Okay, alrighty. Well, thank you for your help, and I will definitely call back. All right.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen, I will tell you that whatever you do not jump into surgery. Remember, it's a last resort. If you can figure out a way to live your life with your head shaved and a close cropped hairstyle without having work done, then that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, I honestly don't really prefer the surgery.
Yeah.
But I feel like I definitely have to do something. But I'm going to give it some more time, do more research and stuff, and like you said, talk to my doctor about it.
Well, talk to your doctor and let us know what you decide to do before you do it, all right?
Okay, thanks again.
All
I
right,
appreciate
man.
all the help. And good luck with your family.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Good luck. 888-659-3727. Who's this? You're on the air. Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Jerry.
Jerry, man. What's happening, bro?
Not much. How's it going?
Not bad. I can't complain. So what's going on?
Well, Joe was kind of talking about our little conversation.
Let me pot Joe up. Hold on. Let me see if I could. There's Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Spencer. Hey, my good friend Jerry.
Your boyfriend's on the air.
I called Joe up. I was feeling a little bit down about the hair loss and everything, and I was looking for somebody to cheer me up. I thought Joe might be the right guy. Gave him a call, and it turned out, I broke down briefly for a period of time. It got kind of intense, but then Joe told me that whole story about the shooting. He was looking in the mirror, and he shot 6 rounds into the mirror. I thought that was pretty interesting, so I kind of cheered me up a little bit. So I think Joe did his part.
Well, that's good.
Making my day a little bit better. But it was a very interesting conversation. It was like, honestly, we talked for like almost 2 hours. It was
I can't even imagine what you guys talk about. That's what I want to know.
Everything. It was crazy. I should have taped it because it was so. Yeah, it was like I know about Joe's family. I know about he had his son Vincent on the phone for a little while, and he's trying to get him to talk, and he's talking about his brother, his family, all kinds of stuff.
And what about his brother?
Very interesting. Well, I don't know, Joe. You never mentioned this on the air.
Mention what?
About your brother.
My brother, he's a very odd guy. He's a Norwood 6.
He said he has a hot wife and he's very successful.
He's very wealthy, a lot wealthier than me. He's actually a millionaire, believe it or not.
How do he make his money? How do he make his money, Joe?
Well, I think I'm literally going to sit down the air, Spencer.
Okay, well...
There'll be repercussions if I say what he does for a living.
All right, well, the thing is, so he was able to go out there in the business world, whatever he does, and...
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And make and become a millionaire. And he was a Norwood 6. He had significant hair loss, just like you. And he was able to somehow make it in this world.
And a beautiful wife who's 15 years younger than him.
What do you think it is? What is different about your brother? And why couldn't you be like him?
Well, Jerry and me were discussing that, and we couldn't come to any conclusion.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised. I didn't even know he had a brother, and then when he mentioned that, I was like, well, that's kind of odd. He's pretty much sounds like a similar situation, but with a different outcome.
Now, do you guys look alike? I mean, what's the age difference?
Well, he's about 3 years older than me, about 3 inches shorter than me.
Okay, so he's shorter than you, right?
And he wears glasses.
And he wears glasses. And he's a Norwood 6.
Yes, I say he has about 5,000 or 6,000 grafts available for transplantation.
Okay. And he has somehow been able to come to grips with it, get a beautiful wife, and make millions of dollars. And you are bedridden, having your food shoved under your door every day.
Is that how you're fed, Joe?
Psychotropic drugs.
And you're on psychotropic drugs.
Yes.
And you grew up in the same household, you and your brother.
Yes.
Right? Your parents were together. They weren't divorced. You grew up in the same household. Did you play with your brother? Did you guys play sports together? I mean, what was it like growing up with your brother?
What do you mean by the play with my brother, Spencer? What does that mean?
I mean, come on, really, what was your relationship like with your brother? Did you have a good relationship?
No, not really. Never really friends, because he always was a weird kid. Because I'd always hide in bed, lay in bed all day, cover my head up all the time, and he found that kind of odd.
Now, so
you were in high, and when you were young in junior high, you were covering your head up already.
Yeah, I told you. I'd wear hats at the age of 12. I wouldn't shower for weeks. I wouldn't wash my hair. I wouldn't shower. I was afraid of causing hair loss. I told you yesterday, I'd wear a hairnet to bed.
Yeah, I knew that. I just didn't realize that. You laid in bed at like 14 years old and like covered the head up.
12 years old actually.
So being that he was your older brother, did he ever say, "Hey, listen, man, let's do something. Get out of the house. I mean, what's wrong with you?" Did he ever try to develop a relationship with you?
No, not really. He gave up. He said I was a mental case. Isn't that weird? He couldn't believe the police department actually took me into their service.
That's interesting. I would love to have your brother on the show. Do you think that's possible?
It's possible, but highly unlikely. He's kind of like, he's not as outgoing as I am.
Well, you're outgoing. That's hilarious. So, I mean, but just like a phone call. Get him on the phone. I want to understand the psychology of Joe. I want to understand what Joe was like as a boy and what it was like growing up having Joe from Staten Island as a brother. I would love that, man.
Well, from the age of 12, I told Jerry I wore hairnets, I wore sex caps, I wore all kinds of caps.
Sex caps? What's a sex cap?
Sex caps. Well,
you have a
when
name
I had
for it.
sex, I'd cover my head with like a surgical white cap. I told Jerry this on the phone.
All right,
Remember that, Jerry?
So honestly, I mean, do you think
you mentioned that you would have sex and with the surgical cap, and then your wife made you wear like garter belts or something?
Well, that's the guest on the show. Actually, might ban me. I don't want, and he doesn't want that.
So Phyllis was into that, man. Phyllis liked you to wear garter belts.
No, I didn't say Phyllis.
Oh, that would be by yourself.
Let's not get too specific now.
All right. So honestly, do you think, I want you to do us a favor, Joe. I want you to do me a favor. Call your brother up and say that I would like to have him on the program. It's on the phone. He's completely anonymous. He doesn't have to use his real name. And I want to know about Joe. I want to know about your life as a kid, what it was like being your brother. That's fascinating to me.
Don't you remember you interviewed my sister?
I did, but your sister, I think, was being ultra kind. And, it's a different relationship with your brother than you have with your sister. That's just the way that it is. Your brother will tell me like it is. Your sister kind of was probably kind of like in the periphery of it all.
My brother says I'm mentally ill. I should be institutionalized, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't know if your brother's that far off. I mean, let's face it, Joe. We've talked about this before. I mean, you are not a well person, but it doesn't mean you're a bad guy. We love you here, Joe, and I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met you and gone to dinner with you if I thought you were going to, if your mental illness was somehow dangerous. You just suffer. You suffer in your own skin. Your life has just been something pretty unique, and I'm sure you make your family suffer. I mean, it's got to be so tough for Phyllis.
They definitely suffer, believe me.
I can't even imagine.
What?
Go ahead. I just can't even imagine what Vincent goes through. Your daughter must just ignore you at this point.
Yeah, I have no relationship with no one. I'm just so isolated. I have a relationship now with Artista and Jerry. They're my only friends.
Jerry, now how's that for pressure, Jerry? I mean, thank you. First of all, I want to thank Jerry and Artista for being Joe's friend, because now the fucking pressure is off of me. So Jerry, thank you.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed the experience. We had talked a little bit actually a couple of weeks ago. I just didn't have time at the moment, huh?
It was actually last week.
Yeah, we talked Friday, but we talked a little bit like a week ago, 2 weeks ago or something, barely. But then we talked
twice that
Friday.
So when are you guys going to meet in person? Because if you guys meet in New York, I would like Andrew Zarian to film it.
Well, he lives in
if he wants to.
I won't mention where he lives. He lives in another state.
Yeah, I live in
far away. I can't mention where he lives, but very far away.
But no, I go to New York sometimes. I go to Manhattan every once in a while, and it'll happen for sure eventually.
All right, well, let's make it happen. I would love to get that on camera and get that on the show. But listen, Jerry, I'm going to take another call, and then I'm going to have to.
How much do me and Jerry expect to be paid, Spencer?
And then I have to close up shop. Your payment is the fame that you're getting through the show.
Can you get us some hair, man?
You guys can make it. Make something from it.
No,
Bald Jerry as seen on The Bald Truth. I mean, it's great.
Well, me and Jerry want to do our own show, but Andrew says no. He doesn't want that.
All right, we'll do your own show someplace else.
I think we should just record our phone conversations and then post them, and see because I think they're pretty interesting.
Dude, that may go viral on YouTube. That would be awesome.
Yeah, people will be like, "What's going on here?"
All right, man. Jerry, listen, thanks for the call.
All right.
Thanks. Take care, all right?
Hey, wait. I want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
I said something earlier in the chat room about Joe Tronic. I asked if he married his wife, because you said, I know that Joe Tronic went through his 20s pretty scarred up. It probably hurt his confidence. But did he meet his wife after he had the repair work?
I think so. Yeah, he did. He recently got married maybe about 3 years ago, something like that.
Okay. And he's in his 40s now?
Yeah, but I think he's always had a girlfriend, though.
Oh, even when he was butchered?
Yeah, he's a pretty outgoing personality. If you look at him, I mean, he put his crazy pictures online with the plugs. He was just always a big smiling.
Do that, yeah.
Yeah, he was always just a big smiling guy. So I mean, while it hurt his confidence for sure, I don't think it really stopped him from getting women.
Okay, that's good to know. I like to hear that, actually.
All right, man. Good talking to you. Take care.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer. This is Vic from D.C.
Oh, my God, Vic, man. How are you? Long time.
Hey, good, man. Good. I'm just hearing your show, and I really got to give you a lot of credit for bringing in so many great co-hosts and just guests on the show. I mean, it's been a pleasure to have Joe Tronic on the show for the last 2 weeks.
I appreciate that, man. I'm sure Joe's going to like hearing this.
Absolutely. I mean, your crew is outstanding. You have Joe from Staten Island, you have Joe Tronic, and you have Specs. I mean, you don't get much better than that. And, well, I just calling in today just it's been a while, so I just wanted to say hi to you and the guys. And
well, how are you doing, man? How has life been treating you?
You know what, man? Ever since you've helped me through my issues, life's been a lot better. And like you said, once you cut, you're cut. And I appreciate that advice. My friend, one of my friends in this area, he was thinking about a transplant. And I told him, hey, listen, man, just hold on for a second and go visit thebaldtruth.com. This guy goes there, and he gets a whole lot of knowledge. And first thing he does is he seeks out medication instead of surgery. And he's just as thankful as I am that he met your website.
Well, listen, it's always good to hear, man. It definitely warms my heart, and when I hear stories like that, I realize that sticking around is important. Even though there are times I just want to say, F it, I'm done, I'm going to retire. Some of these guys are just out of their minds. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I know that there are thousands of guys just like yourself, Vic, who really get something from what we do. And,
absolutely.
And I appreciate you calling in to let me know about that.
Oh, no worries. And I just want to say something quick to Joe from Staten Island. Hey, Joe, man, you know what sometimes makes me happy? Like, I know you've been depressed with hair loss for the past 35, maybe 40 years, but maybe you should just take a vacation. Just you, yourself. Go to, I don't know, maybe Las Vegas, go to Florida, go to Mexico, go to spring break somewhere. Just have a good time, because I think you make a good amount of money, and I think if you take a vacation and just get into a new environment, what will happen is a lot of the energy fields around you will change because of the environment, different people, everything. I'm not telling you to take off your hat. Just keep your hat on, whatever makes you comfortable. Just like take a vacation. You know?
Look, Joe, I potted you up. If I were Joe from Staten Island, I would probably go to one of these these whorehouses down in the Dominican Republic. They're like hotels and resorts, and prostitution's legal down there. Go there. You're 55 years old. Go and have a great time. Enjoy your life. I can guarantee you that the hookers aren't going to make you take off your hat. Right, Joe? Are you there, Joe? Is that you?
The hookers will what?
They're not going to make you take off your hat.
They don't care. They don't know how much dinero I got.
So I think that's good advice, dude. Take a vacation from hair loss. Take a vacation from hair loss, dude.
Absolutely.
You know, I was institutionalized for 6 weeks. I was living in a hotel for 5 months when me and my wife broke up, and I still was obsessed with hair loss. I still couldn't take a vacation from it.
But what if you went to a place where literally it was almost close to paradise? You make a good amount of money. What if you just paid for a nice, like all inclusive vacation that like took care of your stay, transportation, food, great like window side view of the ocean, whatever you want to just like. I'm never saying that you're going to get cured from the sadness of hair loss. I don't think I'm ever going to get cured, but I'm in a better place than I am now than I was 12 months ago. So I'm just saying, like, if you take a vacation, Joe, I think it can really, really help you. I hope you do that.
Well, can I charge it to the bold truth?
Where do you want to go, Joe?
Where I want to go? To a doctor restore me to a normal head of hair.
There you go. There you go. That's the answer, Vic. That's all you're going to get.
Can I start one? Can I ask Vic one quick question?
Well,
Jerry, tell me his opinion on this. You and him. 10 seconds.
Well,
go ahead.
Before you ask me that question, I got to tell you, if you really want that full head of hair, then go grab Nigam, go grab a couple of the IHRS doctors, put them together, and lock them in a room and tell them they can't come out until you have a full head of hair.
They're not magicians, Vic. They're doctors. There's a difference.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But the point is, Spencer said this before. In today's modern hair restoration or hair loss medicine, it's not going to be easy to restore every single follicular unit that you had, that you were born with. But like Spencer said before, you can achieve a completely natural look. Examples in front of you, Specs and Joetronic. But again, Joe, if you're looking for every single follicular unit on top of your head to be restored, Spencer said this before, in today's day and age, it's not really there yet.
That's right, Joe.
Can you explain one thing? Why don't my major fans understand that I have a depleted donor area? Like everyone I talk to, they can't, even Dave Artista, they can't comprehend the ramifications of that. I'm not trying to be nasty, Vic, but you and everyone always tells me the same thing. They can't. Spencer, can you explain this to them? They can't comprehend it.
Well,
I don't mean it disrespectfully.
Well, it's not that it's not that they don't understand it, but your hair loss, you have a depleted donor, but you can still do something with it. And frankly, you can wear an effing piece. It's a lot better than a turban and a hat. And you can live your life. You choose not to, Joe. You are choosing the life that you live right now. It may not be perfect. And maybe there's going to be some people who are going to say, oh, well, that's the guy with the piece. But most people will never notice it, and you'll be able to live your life. But you choose not to. Period.
But Joe, can I ask you one last thing? Joe, let me ask you. I definitely don't mean any disrespect to you, Joe, because I'm a big fan of yours. And I respect the fact. I respect the fact that you told me your donor is depleted. But in the future, if the industry evolves to the point where beard hair and chest hair becomes as good, they find techniques to make it as good as scalp donor, then you said before your beard's really thick. You said you have chest hair. You said you have sideburns. So
Yes,
So
and beautiful pubic hair.
Yeah, at some point it may happen that Spencer, Specs, and these experts are going to see that it may happen that at some point the techniques will allow you to have enough donor.
Well, Vic, a respected IAHRS doctors are now stating that they want thousands of transplants with beards. Am I correct, Spencer?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to what you just said. What was that?
Vic is saying to me about beard hair. As a fact, today the IAHRS doctors are doing many surgeries utilizing beard hair. That's a fact. That's not a fiction. That's a fact.
Yeah, but Joe, you're never going to get what you want, Joe. You're not going to get what you want. Period. It's not going to happen. It's unlikely it's going to happen in the next couple of years, and you will be a 60-year-old man looking back on your life and saying, Jesus, why didn't I listen to Kobren? Maybe I could have had a couple of good years.
Yeah, you're right about that. Can I just leave Vic on the air? Can I ask you guys your opinion about something about Jerry? He wants me to bring this up. He takes 10 pictures of himself every day with a cell phone under the mirror at work. I've diagnosed him as having OCD on the phone. Vic, what's your opinion of that?
You want my? Did you say he takes pictures of himself with a cell phone camera?
Yeah, he has like some kind of in a reverse mirror. He takes 10 pictures every day of his
to look at the extent of his hair loss.
Every day he does this 10 times a day.
I think, in my humble opinion, I don't know if I can call that obsessive compulsive. Although I would say it's definitely a bit obsessive. I think every one of us just does look at our hair every day. So I don't know if I can diagnose that as OCD, but I would say maybe that's a bit much. Maybe once a week's enough.
Well, I can tell you this, that if that's his only issue, then that's not so bad, because I may not take pictures of my hair, 10 pictures a day of my hair, but I would say that there are times when, at least a couple of times a week, I put a very bright light, one of the lights that I use, a shop light, one of the lights that I use in my studio, I hook it up to the mirror and I shine it on my scalp just to see if I'm losing ground under really, really bright light. I still do that. So, but I would definitely assess myself as being obsessive compulsive, and I've talked about that on the air. But if that's the worst that Jerry is dealing with, then that's not so bad. I think Jerry has a lot, at least according to you, and I think Jerry's opened up a little bit himself. There's some deeper issues besides that, Joe.
Well, me and Jerry do talk about a lot of different sexual issues, but Vic, let me get back to Vic one more second. Vic is a no at 7, am I correct? Vic?
Absolutely, and that's why I say Spencer's helped me move on with my life, and you have more hair than I do. Let Spencer help you. But yeah, go ahead.
But you could be helped too. You could be helped with beard hair too. You could be helped when hair neogenesis comes about. You could be helped too.
I agree.
So why are you giving up?
I've given up because well.
Why?
But he hasn't given up.
Look,
Vic hasn't given up. Vic has come to terms with it and decided, you know what? I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. I want to live my life. What's wrong with that, Joe? What's wrong with that?
I don't know what meds Vic is on that he's able to live his life. What medications do you take, Vic, that makes you live your life?
I take a multivitamin and I exercise every single day.
What psychotropic medications are you on that enable you to live life?
Absolutely nothing. I eat dark chocolate if I feel low. I go out into the sun to run, and I take a multivitamin. That's all I do.
You're able to work and exercise too?
Absolutely. I just want to answer your question. So why did I give up? The truth is that at a certain point, for the interim, I've given up on trying to gain hair. But what Spencer's made me realize is that you don't have to give up on the rest of your life.
Guys, on that note,
Spencer's trying to make me realize that's just 1998. with all due respect, I don't think he's been successful.
I have not been successful. You're one of the few guys that I have not been able to really help, Joe. At least, come to terms with the fact that while it's not perfect, you can find ways to live your life, even if you are dealing with hair loss. But Joe, I would say that you are a lost cause. We love you, and it's important that you're part of this broadcast. But as far as
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and
Spencer, may I say one last thing?
Yeah.
Okay, Joe. There's one last word I will leave you with. If it was not for Spencer Kobren, I probably would have made a huge mistake. If it was not for Spencer Kobren, if it was not for Spencer Kobren, I would have made a huge mistake. So I'm just going to leave you with those last few words.
What mistake did that happen, or what mistake was that, Vic? Would you have taken your life?
No, I would have gone in for a transplant that I'm not a candidate for. Spencer stopped me. It's because of Spencer Kobren that I'm able to keep on going.
Well, I'm going to leave you this thought. I've known Spencer for 15 years, and I would say he's literally saved tens of thousands of lives.
I agree with you.
Destroying their lives or killing themselves.
I agree with you.
This man has saved people's lives. I mean, he's actually saved their lives. That's why there's a God who they shine upon him.
Yes.
He saved my life. I would have been dead already if it wasn't for him. I'll be honest with you.
All right, guys, listen. I appreciate what you're saying. We got to go. I'm glad that I've been able to help you guys.
All right, thank you.
It means a lot to me that you're saying this, both of you guys. Vic, thank you so much for, the kind words. And Joe, I know how you feel. I wish I could help you though, but that's not going to happen. So you can keep calling the show.
But someday you may be able to. You know that.
You never know. You never know.
So I hope your father's okay. I know you're right on discuss it on the air, but I'm just I think about it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Hey, Vic, man, thank you so much for the call. Great to hear your voice again. Keep doing what you're doing because you sound great.
Thank you, Spencer.
All right, man.
One final word. I love you, Jerry.
Jesus. Websites. TheBaldTruth.com to see archives of this broadcast and all of our broadcasts through the GFQ network. You can see the archives on GFQ or guysfromqueens.com as well. We are now on several more online resources, including Daily Motion, so you can check us out there. And, of course, iTunes Radio, Stitcher Radio, and all the other resources. If you want to learn more about hair loss, you can check out the American Hair Loss Association website at americanhairloss.org. If you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, check out our message forum, baldtruthtalk.com. Remember, just take some of what you read with a grain of salt. There's a lot of great information, a lot of great people on there. But there's also, like with anything else online, a lot of stuff that you really, you're going to need to read between the lines to really decipher whether it's fact or fiction. But baldtruthtalk.com, great message forum, a great place to meet other hair loss sufferers and to vent and to learn and to share. So check it out. Until next time, be strong. God bless. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be back live next week or not. I was supposed to. I wasn't going to do this week, but we'll see. We will announce it through the message forum and on the website if we decide to go live. So until next time, again, be strong. God bless.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.